Good morning from Easier Habits Live. This is your favorite 8 a.m. Central business live stream.
I don't know. Today it was 8:01.
Well, I clicked the button at 8.
It's true. It's
800. So, anyway, do like, subscribe, share so we can build a community of entrepreneurs supporting each other at this wonderful early morning hour. And I'm Alec from Easier Habits. I am a business growth consultant.
And I'm Meg Sorensen, and I am a global English communication consultant and coach. So, yeah, welcome to Flannel Day. It's December. It's official, so.
We're celebrating Decemberween.
Decemberween. So many good memories.
Might be a deep cut. Anyway, so we've been going through a sales funnel. I have some actual results from that, but we'll do our usual communication tip first. Mm-hmm. And since we've been doing this for about a month, I had kind of a zoomed out time management and prioritization exercise for you. So since that's something we're working on too.
I could use that. Right. Okay, so communication tip for today. We've talked a lot about the types of language that you use, the speed that you speak with. But another really important part of English in particular is what's called prosody. And a lot of people don't know what that actually means. So if I talk like this, I sound kind of like a robot because my words don't go up or down. They just kind of stay the same, and it's really kind of boring. And yeah. Okay, so that is an example of completely flat language. As opposed to right now, my language is going up and then it's going down, and then I can, kind of go around in a little bit. And the ways that I use almost like the pitch of my voice in conjunction with emphasis and other things like that really help to convey the meaning in a lot of more subtle and easier to, I don't want to say necessarily understand, but it helps support what it is that you're trying to say. And this is sometimes difficult, I know, for non-native English speakers because you don't have those same kinds of habits of intonation. And so one way that you can practice that is through shadow reading. And shadow reading is where you take somebody's English online or in a TV show that you like and mimic it as close as you possibly can in every way possible. So say a sentence.
I'm saying a sentence.
I'm saying a sentence. Okay, so instead of saying, I'm saying a sentence, right? That doesn't have the same sound. I'm saying a sentence. Right? Like, it's weird and it's awkward, even though I am a native speaker.
Well, and I was doing awkward intonations.
Also that. So, but that practice,
right.
And then recording yourself as well, you'll really start to hear, are you making those same kinds of kind of ups and downs as native speakers, or are you a little bit too monotone and you need to kind of spice it up a bit? So work on that, listen and practice and record yourself, and we'll talk a little bit more about that process later this week.
Nice. I feel like the classic example of that is intonation at the end of a sentence. Do I go up and it sounds like a question, or do I go down and make an assertion, right?
Yeah. Because very frequently, non-native speakers, they'll talk like this, and it is okay, except that they sound kind of unconfident. That's not really a word. But because everything sounds kind of like a question.
Yeah. Right?
So when all of the things go up, you lose that sense of confidence as opposed to a statement that goes down, right?
Yeah. So. And my impression of Japanese was that it's very different than English in the sense of you kind of have like a lot of two main pitches that you're at. You're kind of at a lower pitch, and then like there were certain places where naturally in words or like the intonation of the words you would go into the upper pitch and back down.
It's prescribed by the words and the grammar rather than the like meaning and intention, which is completely different from English. Like if you want to add emphasis to something in English, you say it really clearly and strong. In Japanese, you add a particle at the end that says yo, right? Yeah. If you add yo to the end of it, all of a sudden you're like this is a really strong statement, right? With
It's
that
like
one
a verbal
little sound.
exclamation mark.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, I mean, yes, they do obviously have those kinds of, different vocal changes, but it's not the same way that we do in English.
That is absolutely something I did when learning Japanese, and I didn't study it for very long, but that really made a huge difference in my initial classes. You could tell the difference. I got compliments from my teachers, and all I did was just sit there and in real time I would try and copy what I was hearing, so that as soon as I made a mistake, I departed from whatever it was they were saying. I could hear the difference, and then I'd do it again a few times.
Yeah, it's really good practice.
So great tip. All right, so we're looking back on a month of having done these more intense daily strategy sessions. So I want to just ask some questions to kind of frame and reflect on where we've been putting our energy and how that matches up with your priorities.
Okay.
So first, what is your biggest priority in business?
I mean, this is where I'm always like, they're all the biggest priorities,
That's why we're doing this.
I know, right? Because priority should be a one thing. I mean, if I get really down to it, get into my why, my why is to help empower people to communicate in ways that they can't currently. However, that is not necessarily the business thing. Obviously, the business thing is I want to be able to make money.
Yeah. So you're already doing that for people, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what is the thing you're striving towards? The goal, the priority goal, we should say, right?
So the priority goal would be a predictable, steady stream of clients, right? So that I don't have to worry about the client acquisition stuff all the time. I can just work with my clients, which is what I like doing.
Yep. So a predictable, steady stream of clients is your goal.
Yes.
So what have you tried this month that is moving you towards your goal?
Okay, so this month I have worked on how we're going to start this sales funnel and figuring out ways to get people on my mailing list. I made a lot of contacts and other, people from my business trips. So people who would potentially be interested in that. I've written up some verbiage. I've done a lot of, I feel background work, but not a lot of actual execution of okay, now I'm going to go out and get my clients. I'm doing all the prep work.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm pointing out. One, I wanted to follow up. We did a lot of that work. If you look at our first few sessions, we prepared to go to the conferences. You were out at the conferences for 2 weeks, and then you crashed for a week afterwards.
True.
So almost 4 weeks of this month have been devoted to conferences. How effective have they been at getting clients reliably for you?
Okay, I haven't gotten any clients out of that yet. So...
And so I'm not saying that that was a terrible thing to do. There's some market research that came out of that. For instance, did you journal afterwards to get the specific language of pain points people were using?
Yes.
All right. So things like that, right? The specific pain points. There's the knowing from at least one individual that they would have used that 2 weeks ahead of time. So knowing when and how to engage them with their own pain points, that's helpful. It's not zero, and that's again you're going to go through a lot of this in business, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that's not working for me, right? Where it's a learning experience, but you want to have these regular check-ins to be to understand all right, these meetups, conventions, expos, whatever, they take a ton of energy.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't yet actually know how to harness that energy.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
When you look at actual days you have spent working on sales funnels, how many days have you actually been working on that funnel?
Probably not all that many, maybe 4.
So, right. So this is the alignment. And, there was, and I brought this up partially because I was thinking of the editing that you've been doing. That took at least one full day of editing.
Yeah, it's been a few, because I'd started it before then.
Yeah, okay.
And so, total maybe 20 hours, 30 hours of this
Right.
last week was spent, working on that.
So, I mean, this has been going over a month. Then, if we have the 4 weeks, and there were some spots in there where we were working on a little bit of funnel stuff, but like it's mostly been that one day we worked on funnel language. And some of that stuff about like your pitch and who your target audience has gone into this. So like some of those exercises have been helpful, but in terms of like actually working on the funnel, like hours spent building it, writing copy, or like even if it's not finalized copy, scripting, how much time is that?
Probably not a ton, maybe, I don't know, somewhere probably between like 5 and 10. And that's like everything, between doing my market research and doing my outlining of it. And this is one of the things that I struggle with is my focus, right? Because, there's so many things that I could be doing, and with something that I don't see immediate results or something that I have to put a lot of different pieces into, it is overwhelming and just kind of that piece that I want to push away.
And that's kind of what I was going to get into it. Like, all right, so this, you've identified, like, this would be one of your number one strategies for getting reliable customers, but it's something you actively don't want to think about.
Well, and I think one of the reasons, too, is because I think about that sales funnel. I think about doing all of this work, and I already have it set up in my mind that I'm going to do this work, and no one's going to care, and they're not going to sign up anyway, because I've never done it this way before.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like, and I have gotten clients by talking to people. It takes way too much energy, and we've already talked about that.
And that's why we have to try something different.
Yes. But since I don't have this piece, I can't look back and be like, well, I've seen this work. I know it's valuable. And so, making that connection, I think right now in my brain is a thing that I would like to work on. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll start with, like, what's your value proposition?
My value proposition is I help you tell your story in English quickly, right? And authentically in a way that will be received how you want it to be received. But I do it in, it's too many things, right?
Focus.
Focus. Okay.
Right. I help you tell your story in English.
Like now, with the language you have now.
With the language you have now.
Right?
Yeah.
So
have the confidence to reach out and give your pitch.
Yes. So it's, again, I can teach English. Like, that's a thing. But most of the people I work with don't need help with their English. They just need to figure out how to put the English they already have into a framework.
Right.
And so that's what I help them with. So, I help people where they're at be able to tell their story now and have fun doing it.
Nice. Well, and you like giving away free stuff.
I do like giving away free stuff.
This funnel, I mean, at the end of it, you will invite people to work with you, but during part of it, the goal is to like create something valuable and free and get people to take that free thing, and hopefully it's valuable enough. I guess it's not free. They have to sign up for the email list, but you are. For instance, like your pitch template, right? That's something you've been thinking about working on. What change would that have in somebody's life?
I feel like it could have a few different ones. One of them just being a lot of people that I work with really like templates. And it's something that they don't have to worry, am I saying the right thing? Am I not saying the right thing? They can just use it and say, I trust that this is correct. And then they can just practice that rather than having to agonize over thinking up their own thing. And so it would take a lot of the guesswork out of things, a lot of the extra effort that would be required. And it would be done well. So. Yep.
So, I mean, there's value there. Would you like to give people that template and help them actually pitch their business in English?
Yes, I would.
All right. So, so that is kind of like the motivation, right? Is really helping people. And that's good. It's good that you have this orientation, because at the end of the day, like, that's what you want to get across, and there's some skill involved in getting that across, and that's the uncomfortable part, is learning how to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you're not trying to extract the maximum amount of money from people, and most of the funnel is going to be oriented towards like getting that valuable thing into their hands rather than just selling yourself.
Yeah.
But you do want to leave that door open again so people know they can ask, because there are people who are willing to pay money who just don't know who to get this help from.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, kind of just like looking back at this and looking at, you know, really the work that we've done together over this past month. And I think I talked about this in my, you know, like rant against, you know, whatever, but so much of my life was figuring out how to get by with doing the like least effort possible for a lot of reasons. But there is a part of me that really does like resist responsibility. And I'm 36 years old. I really, you know, would like to figure out how to adult at some point. And, you know, again, there's that part of my brain that I don't know if it's, you know, if I can change it, and I know, you know, neuroplasticity, of course I can. But sometimes I don't want to. And so then I have those parts of me, and then I really have to be radically honest with myself. And it's one of the reasons why this has been so helpful is because you've made me articulate it. All of these things that like, yes, I've known this, that I struggle with my focus in a way that probably, you know, I could have been doing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now a couple of years ago, right? But instead of just like feeling bad about myself, you know, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, yes, this is a thing. And it's out in front of me and you and everybody else here. That is a thing that I struggle with. And by accepting that, then I can really be honest about, do I want to change that? And then I really have to be accountable, which is something that I haven't had a lot of in my life.
Yay, coaches!
Right? Well, and it's hard and it's so uncomfortable and it's like, oh, okay, I really have to step up. But then it also is like, yeah, okay. If it's not going to be this, then it's not going to be anything. And I don't like that option. So let's do this kind of a thing. So I think about it in more positive terms, right? Rather than like, ugh, can't believe I have to do this stuff. This is so stupid. It's like, no, I want to be this kind of person. And I've been hiding from that, or I've been avoiding it, or I've been finding ways to get by in life. But I don't want to just get by in life. I want to be engaged and doing things. And so, yeah, it's hard to say it all out loud and to be like, yeah, okay, you know, this is not a strength of mine. And then now I can move forward.
Yep. Well, and this is something where I'm not going to have all the solutions for motivation.
Yeah.
But that is something like now that you're journaling your time, all right, you can note time towards primary goal. Yeah. And you could also note maybe motivation or demotivation, right? Like what is, you know, when I remind myself this is my primary goal, what's the first thing in my head?
Yep.
But also, what are the things that do get you excited about working, and how do you lean into them? And I'm hoping, at least in small measure, when you say, for instance, I haven't seen this work, that's the goal of the channel, is because it's very different seeing this work in real time in like starts and fits and pieces of it working, but then have to like troubleshoot that versus somebody like telling you in retrospect their success story. Yeah. It's very different feel. So I hope that what we'll go through a little bit in just like a minute will also help you and our viewers with that, because I'm showing my work and what's working and what's not working.
Yes, which you've had a really interesting weekend.
Yeah, so there's been some fun results, but so the action item I think is just, again, as you're doing your time journaling a day in the day, like layer in a little bit about, you know, motivation and time towards priority goal. Yeah. What you said specifically about the person you want to be, for people who really identify with that, there's a book. It's been a while since I've read it, but it's like the E-Myth Revisited. It's the entrepreneur myth is the thing. I don't know if you've read that. But he makes this interesting analogy that basically you're multiple different people. And so, for instance, with regards to exercise, there's the like wanting to be healthy you and the lazy you, and they're functionally two different personalities.
the family systems
right.
theory of psychology.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's hard to like stick to the diet or exercise is because like you're in healthy mode when you make those goals. But lazy you doesn't want to cash that check.
Yeah.
So like that those two different personalities is basically what they built up on. And they identify very distinctly that, and this is one of the reasons why entrepreneurship is so hard, is that there's 3 different personalities that you need to master. And I forget their specific verbiage, but it's something like there's the creative, the technician, and the leader or manager, right? And they're different systems, right? They're different ways of thinking. And so a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in one mode and then use it, extensively. And what you're describing is the creative mode, right? You want it to be unstructured. You want it to be spontaneous. You want to kind of follow what feels good in the moment. Yeah. That's the creative mode. And I have a lot of that, but I've also had the benefit of being an engineer for 10 years. So I've had some of the technician. And my interest in psychology kind of helps me a little bit with the leader sort of things, but at the same time too, like I'm working solo as a coach, so I don't have to worry about that quite as much. Like only in one-on-one relationships, which is my favorite place to focus on, rather than necessarily for me personally managing a business. I think that'll come at some point, but I really like the one-on-one relations aspect. So people have their own different mix. And so if you're interested in that, check out the E-Myth Revisited, and that will go into kind of those different archetypes and some of the ways that people stumble because they're stuck in one or the other.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to show you some of my results as I'm going through video funnels. Yay. And one of the things that I noticed that is going very successfully is that we're at 94 subscribers. We're almost hitting triple digits on our YouTube channel, which is great. So again, if this is helpful, like and subscribe. We try and go 8 a.m. live every weekday. Although if I can, I will do festive holiday animations for the end of December. These may be stick figures, but I'll make it work. And they will also be business themed. So here is just some of the statistics of what we're running. One of the things I tested that did work was boosting content. So I have one thing to do before you work on your procrastination, which I'm super proud of that title. So I actually boosted it for $10 or $15 on Facebook, and it did get 44 viewers as opposed to 22. And it might be some of the reason why I have subscribers. So I think another reason is just the content format and the regularity of the content is really helpful. So there's something to subscribe for, i.e. the fact that we're going live every day. That really has helped dramatically. So put it in context, it took me 2 years to get to the 79 subscribers, and the past month we've gotten 15. So that's 6, I don't know how many, it's multiple times faster. All right, somewhere between 4 and 6 times faster, right? And this is a pattern that people say they see a lot with entrepreneurs. It's just a little bit in mini, is that you're learning a lot of lessons and a lot of things really don't work. So during that first 79 subscribers, I'd get these little jolts here and there, but a lot of things that didn't really explode or work regularly. Yeah. And it's kind of like what you said, when you haven't seen it work, it's hard to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you keep trying stuff out until there's something that does get consistent results. And that's something I keep expecting during the month, it to taper off. And it's not a ton of people, but it is people every week subscribing. And there's all sorts of things I know will work. And I've even tested another thing, for instance, taking a clip out of a video and doing some SEO title work. I don't even have a particularly good thumbnail. I can improve the thumbnails. But
thumbnail's a little weird.
But yes. Yeah, they're often very silly, but that little clip was not a ton of extra work, and I got 20 views, not from boosting or heavy promotion. I don't think you shared it, have you?
The clip?
Global reach one.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't give it to you to share. I just put it out there. I was showing my a third grader how I do video editing and But anyway, so, that was something that, like, oh, it got 20 views with not a lot of work. Like, basically, if I do that for the communication tip and the business tip, then that is, and an average video gets 20 views, but I could, like, triple the amount of views that we're getting and get some people, more people subscribed to the channel finding us. Because it's hard to SEO title of a live show before we've run it.
Right? Yeah, that's hard.
I try and do edits afterwards sometimes, but anyway, so like, what you're saying before, I've been there in general, like with a YouTube channel, and it is hard before you start seeing the numbers go up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and we can get into the video sales letter funnel, and I'll show you specifically where that's going up, but also for people who are subscribing, when we hit 100 subscribers, we'll do a special episode, maybe walking through more specifically the evolution of the YouTube channel and the things that I tried and didn't try with that. That would be a fun episode to do. And so here is the stats of my ad. So basically so it's had 71 clicks on a reach of 3,700 about. Cost per click, 25 cents, which isn't terrible. If I had a really good, effective funnel, right? Say the landing page got like 10% of people, then that wouldn't actually be so bad. Acquiring 10 subscribers for, $2.50 on my email list. And then, the opportunity to reach out to them and follow up and see if they want to schedule a coaching appointment. That would be great. So it's fairly high engagement. An interesting thing about this is that, let's see, there's some people have saved it. That's cool. 2 people have saved it. 6 post reactions, which is nice. It means it's gotten in other people's feeds as well, like organically, because someone liked it, which is kind of cool. And an interesting thing is, I forget what the goal is, get more website visitors. My initial goal was something else, I think. And one of the things I noticed about Facebook that was kind of awkward or weird was that I accidentally set the wrong goal somewhere, and I was still getting clicked through my website, so it was functioning. But when I set the goal, get more visitors, it told me that I might not get any clicks and it would be a lot more expensive. So I think that they want to keep you and all of your customers locked in on the Facebook platform. So that's just like an FYI. Maybe a better way to go about things is to get people chatting with you and engaging you, and talk to them individually, but then those individuals, you get them, like, you have those one-on-one conversations to get them onto, depending on your scale and whatnot, if you're starting out with a new funnel or whatever, get them onto your email list, right? So that was something I observed. The real problem is here. So I have had 71 visits, 6 clicks, and 1 subscribe, and all of those are for me testing it. So it's 71 visits and 0 clicks and 0 subscriptions. So basically this page, and I was trying to follow the VSL example, header, subheader, email list, 3 bullet points. The biggest thing that usually fails on a landing page is the header. So the next step for me obviously would be just to test different headers and see how that goes over the next week. If I wanted to be really systematic about this, I would set up different ads that linked to different versions of the landing page to see what's more successful, and the ad would be the same. I'd be keeping everything the same. And so that's an example. But what I notice is, even though the funnel kind of stops dead at a certain point, which I'm not surprised. I've run ads before to get engagement and to engage with people. And so the VSL funnel in particular is new to me. So I'm not really surprised that it was like a hard fail the first time, as to be expected. But even just seeing that I got people on the page and got eyes on it is very motivating, and is making me think through, like, all right, what could I do? Maybe I could bring in the picture of the entrepreneur with their laptop, bring that into the page, or this is the secret to accelerating your growth without giving away your company. Maybe it's 65% of startups fail because of founder friction. Here's the secret that 39% of seed stage founders use to succeed. I don't know, something like, I could phrase that differently. So play with that, bring in the image. Those are the two biggest things to hit on any landing page. But this brings me into the business tip of the day, which is the idea of intent to buy or intent to act. Mm-hmm. And so with this funnel, the instinct is immediately like, all right, fix this page so that I get, more of those 70 people clicking through to convert. And that's not a bad instinct, and I am going to try that. But there's another alternative that's a real got you, and where people can get stuck and not know where to go, which is maybe the initial offer isn't strong enough to get people through. So I could incrementally increase like 1 or 2 subscriptions, but it's not going to have a big effect because what I'm offering in the ad here, right? The best way to grow your company is not a co-founder of business. 65% of startups fail due to founder friction. Discover the growth strategy that 39% of seed stage founders and 60% of growth stage founders use, right? So maybe that discover the secret is not enough for someone to actually act on signing up to my email list. Now, one awesome and almost as good as email list, not quite, is that I didn't know this. People could chat you based on your ads. So I've had 2 chats. And so one of the things I'm going to do is connect with those people and just tell them it's a new funnel and being like, hey, could I have a bit of your time? Could you tell me what you're looking for and kind of what you wanted to see in the ad and why you didn't sign up? And that would be really helpful to get that perspective. And that's something you don't always get from a funnel. So that's something I might play around with more in the future, is doing ads to get people talking to me. Yeah. And then think about it almost more as like market research. I'm paying the money to get people to talk to. Yay. And so, those people will be exposed to what you do and you can recommend content for them, et cetera, in an organic sense, but you focus primarily on research. So that is an example of funnel it is a funnel. You expect people to level off. Very often when you're setting up a new one, it just cuts off suddenly at a certain point. On the other hand, the other thing to think about a funnel is that you don't want all of it to... you don't want everyone to come through. You want people who are not serious about your product, for instance, to drop off. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You just want to make sure that you're capturing the people who are, for instance, looking to invest in their business. And I'm sure since I targeted this to people who are interested in entrepreneurship or have a new business page on Facebook, especially if people have a new business page, they're probably interested in growing their business. The question is, how do I reach them? So I kind of got very diverted from the business tip of buying intent. And so let me underline that. The buying intent intent to buy is an interesting concept, and I'm kind of broadening it to intent to act. But it's really, you want, when you set up an ad or do search engine optimized content or social media marketing, etc., what you want to make sure is that you're capturing people who actually intend to do something, right? Yeah. And so this ad may be powerful enough to get someone's curiosity and link them to an article. It may not be powerful enough to get them to sign up to an email list. And so either if that were the case, after I've done some testing to establish that, then maybe I would need to tweak the header to be something stronger off the bat, right? More immediate to their business pain point, for example, stop going alone in your business. Oh, here's a way to grow your business, get, help with business skills without giving away your equity or something. Yeah. Whatever, take a different angle. Maybe that is something that actually has more, people would have more intent to buy, and people would not only sign up for the email list, but after they've seen the video, they would schedule a free coaching session, right? That's the end goal. But the other way could be, to nurture that. So all right, if this doesn't really have people with intent to buy, it has people with intent to browse article, right? What could I do? Do I need to just put an article or something in front of them for free? And then what could I tease them with there that would bring out an intent to at least, sign up for the email list? If this has been helpful, I have these, 3 secrets that you can get when you download or when you join the email list, etc. So think about, when you're putting up ads, when you're starting your funnel or placing content that people are going to be searching for, what's their intent? Are they just researching? All right. How serious are they researching? Are they just curious, or are they seriously researching enough to sign up for an email list, or are they looking to buy? And then that will help you gauge how successful you are. And one of the biggest problems you might have with an ad is it's big enough to get clicks, but it's not actually well aligned with the overall funnel end goal in terms of intent to get coaching, for example. Mm-hmm. All right. So that is a plenty long business tip. So anyway, that is it for today. I don't see anyone in the chat yet. That is our next big goal. So if you're watching live, or you can watch live at 8 a.m. Central, throw something in the chat. And we will be happy to respond to it, even a what's up. But, if questions, comments, then we would love to build out that chat as one way that we can start building a community of entrepreneurs who are helping each other. No BS, no, after the facts, 1 in 1,000 success stories, just like the actual process entrepreneurs go through, including all the obstacles and struggles. So please do like, subscribe, share so we can build that community. And until tomorrow, make big changes.